Only women get depression? Hey party people, welcome back to So Squared and Cubed. I'm Jamie. Hello! Today I wanted to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart: debunking depression, myths, and misconceptions. I know it's a whole mouthful. Before we start off with the main chunk of the video, please don't forget to go down below and hit the subscribe button. You can also hit the bell if you so choose, but it doesn't hurt my feelings either way. Right now, every Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about something mental health related, something cleaning related, because it all kind of ties in together. And on Thursdays is just kind of whatever I want to do. Also, if you want to connect with me outside of the YouTube space, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. That's kind of everything that I have right now, but if I do get more, I will let you know. I've also got a Patreon and a Ko-fi where if you'd like to, you can support me. Right now I'm saving up for a new camera and a bunch of new equipment that would just kind of help the quality of my videos a little bit. Last thing before we get into the actual video, please don't forget to comment down below what are some myths and misconceptions that you can think of when it comes to depression or mental illness in general. And what are you doing to educate yourself about those misconceptions, if you're doing anything at all? Alright, so the big question is, depression. What is it? Per the Mayo Clinic, and I will leave sources and links down below, depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. This is also called major depressive disorder or clinical depression, and it will affect how you feel, think, and behave. It can also lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. You may have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes you may feel as if life isn't worth living. One of the things that I found as I was researching this topic is that depression affects literally everyone differently. Even people who come from the same family may not experience the same symptoms, or if they do have the same symptoms, may not experience the same effects when taking medication for their depression. This is one of the main reasons why I'm really trying to push for everyone to talk openly about depression and certain other types of mental illnesses, because I get comments all the time about how my depression isn't real because I'm experiencing symptoms that other people haven't. So really, just because I experience something that you don't, or you experience something that I don't, that doesn't mean either of us don't really have depression. We could both have it. I don't ever want to discourage someone from asking the question of, is this something that I have? They may not know, and they might be turning to the internet for answers because mental health care is expensive. Aside from that, it also just really annoys me beyond belief when people try to convince me that I don't actually have depression, even though I've literally been diagnosed by a mental health professional, not just with depression, but everything that I have. And what bothers me even more is our first myth and misconception. Depression is not real. Okay, so let's break this one down, because honestly, it infuriates me to no end when someone tells me depression isn't real, it's all inside your head. Of course it's in my head, dum-dum. Where else is my brain gonna be? A lot of times depression is solely referred to as a chemical imbalance in the brain, which therefore causes a mental health issue. But in doing research for this video, I found a very interesting article, and apparently the chemicals in your brain is not even the full story. Per the Mayo Clinic again, and Harvard Health, depression has many contributing factors that include brain chemistry, hormones, and genetics. We're still even researching the impact of nerve cell growth on mental health issues such as depression. I think it's absolutely a shame that we boil depression down to someone just being sad, or it's not real, get over it, it's all in your head, when we have well-documented evidence that it exists and it's real, and it's not something that's just a temporary bout of earthly sadness. And let's be honest, if it was made up, do you really think I would make up a mental illness that makes me lose interest in everything that I love to do? Like, yeah, I absolutely love painting and playing video games and going on walks. Let me just not do any of that for some weird mental health clout. It's not made up, y'all. So stop being stubborn, listen to your doctor, listen to your kids if they tell you they think they're depressed, listen to your friends if they think they're depressed. Listen to people when they say, I think I have depression, I don't know what's going on. Now let's get to a misconception or a myth that I really thought was true and impeded my mental health journey for a very, very long time. Myth and misconception number 2. Antidepressants will change your personality. I know that I'm guilty of believing this. And I know you guys have heard me say that I stopped taking my antidepressants, and there were several factors as to why. And you hear me say this a lot, is because it made me feel numb. And when I say that, I don't mean it changed my personality. Rather, the real me was able to kind of shine through a little bit, and I was able to enjoy things again. But if something didn't hit like a 10 on the fun meter, instead of before medication it would hit like a 2 or a 3, now it was just constantly at a 0. And over time, I just decided that those particular medications weren't working for me the way I wanted them to. Sometimes that just happens. Because there's so many different chemicals and so many different factors that can alter your depression, there's not just one cure for it, and there's not just one pill that'll make it all better. You have to try for a very, very long time to find the medication that might work for you. But a lot of people worry that if they start taking an antidepressant, it's going to alter their personality. But what they're doing is not changing who you are. What they're doing is decreasing your symptoms of depression so that who you really are can come back. You're not changing you, you're just finding you. Again, I did a lot of research for this video, and I found from PubMed a 5-year-long study published in 2012. This study correlates the changes in personality that people often experience with the decrease in depression symptoms. This quote says, "If antidepressants influence these personality dimensions, the effect size is likely markedly smaller than that of the disorders for which they are prescribed." You're not just gonna randomly become a completely different person that you've never been and never would have been if it weren't for the medication. Let's move on to a myth or misconception that I think needs to go straight to the garbage can. Misconception number 3. Talking about depression makes it worse. I'm so beyond over depression being this stigmatized thing that if we all talk about it, we're gonna make our depression worse because you're just focusing on the negative, man, and why can't you just be a more positive person, dude? That's not how this works. If I get hit by a car and I break my hip, am I going to heal by never going to a doctor and ignoring it and letting my hip just heal in whatever weird way the bones are in? No, I'm gonna go to a doctor and they're gonna set the bones properly, give me surgery if I need it, and then I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna heal. It's the same thing for any mental health issue. Talking about it, especially talking about it with a mental health professional who can give you the tools and the words to figure out what is actually going on with you and cope with what is going on with you, that's what makes it all better. And yeah, talking about depression brings attention to it, but it doesn't somehow miraculously make my emotions worse by expressing them. In actuality, talking about these things allows us to self-evaluate and reevaluate what are we actually feeling? What are we actually experiencing? Is this a valid thought? Also, as an added benefit of us talking about depression, it helps us find a community where we don't have to be alone. Depression will make you isolate yourself, and that's always how I know it's getting bad, is when I start trying to isolate. If you find a community, you'll find your people who are more likely to support you, who are more likely to empathize with what you're going through, and that helps so much to know that you are not the only person going through this, and you don't have to be alone anymore. So get yourself support. Sometimes that means friends, sometimes that means a therapist. You should also always, even if you know that you can't afford it, have a plan to speak with a mental health professional in the event that you do need it and don't have a choice. And now we get to the 4th and final and somehow most terrible myth and misconception about depression. Myth and misconception number 4, only women get depression? I just genuinely want to know, who started this? It is so unbelievably wrong. And I actually went and found some information from the National Institute of Mental Health, or NIM for short, yes, like the secrets of NIM. In 2017, an estimated 17.3 million adults in the US had at least one major depressive episode. 5.5% of men were found to have depression between 2013 and 2016. The percentage of men who do have depression is never zero. These men who did have depressive episodes or were diagnosed with depression, they're not just sad. They have depression. It's different. And it's not something that you can just get over and be a man about. It's not how that works. By the way, if you think that men being less likely to go see a mental health professional and get this diagnosis of depression is not worrying or not everybody's problem, it took me 2.5 hours to find something even remotely comprehensive about men with depression. You wanna know how long it took me to find out how many women get depression in a year? Literally 3 seconds in a Google search. Because there is this myth and misconception, I have linked down below a resource from the Mayo Clinic about depression in men, how to get help, what to look for in symptoms, how to know when you need help. And that's the most important one. And on this last point, I want to bring in my fiance, Sean. I feel like his perspective as a guy would probably lend itself to this conversation of men having depression a little bit more as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring him in. Our final depression misconception is that depression only affects women.
That seems like nonsense. I feel like it affects everybody to a degree, right?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you have a brain, you can be susceptible.
You can be saddened.
Yeah, you can be saddened. You can be debuffed with depression.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, it kind of like hurts my heart to hear people say like, well, men can't be depressed, like men can't show emotion, men can't be sad or anything like that, because like you're human, you're allowed to have emotions. It literally damages you if you don't process those.
Yeah, you have to get them out. And a lot of men will push this like masculinity thing that's not okay to be sad, or you always got to be tough.
Yeah.
But it actually feels better if you just get out your emotions.
It's something like you see so often, and I think we're getting to a point now where it's like we recognize toxic masculinity, like you were saying.
Oh yeah.
And we recognize it, and we're starting to teach our children that, hey, it is okay to cry. It is okay to feel these emotions.
Yeah,
You're okay.
It'll probably just make you stronger, too. I mean, isn't it like when you need to cry, all those chemicals get stored up? And then when you cry, it actually releases those chemicals?
Glad to have your perspective, because I feel like sometimes when we talk about, like, it's okay for men to have depression and be depressed, when it's coming from women or feminine people saying so, that it's not really revered as highly as it would be from another man saying that it's okay.
Yeah, it really needs to be let out. You gotta, I mean, it's harder now. You can't really be close with your friends, but,
yeah,
you know, being able to be close with your friends and touch them and all that stuff really is good, even for guys. Like, you know, fist bump only goes so far.
Normalize men hugging men. Normalize dudes being actually friends and not just like, all right, man, I'm gonna fist bump you and see you, 7 weeks from now, and we're gonna barely talk.
Fist you later, dude.
Well, thank you for your input. Did you want to say anything more? Did you?
If you have depression, see someone if you can. But if you can't, or you're too scared to, try to get like a notebook or something and write them out. Writing out in just a stream of conscience. Don't think about it, just write it out. Put that away and look at it tomorrow, and then you can see where you're actually at. And I think that'll help at least understand your own emotions to a degree. I
really like that idea. And,
thank you.
There are tons of online resources, and I'm leaving stuff down below too, but my main thing is like, you're not alone. However alone that you feel, it's just how depression works. It makes you feel isolated.
Yeah, it makes you sort of blame yourself. It forces you away. And, makes you less of the person that you usually are.
Yeah.
But it's hard to fight because it's also you.
I think that's why we should all be more open with how we talk about mental illness. And if our generation's parents were more open about talking about their own mental illnesses, we might be better equipped to deal with our own. And if we are more open about talking about not just depression, but every mental illness that we personally have experience with, or even if we don't, if we just need to ask questions. If we talk more about it, if we ask those questions, if we try to understand things more, our kids, the next generation, and the next generation after that, they're gonna have so many more tools to help them with any obstacle that they come across in their own mental health. All right, party people, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you're able to make use of all of the resources linked down below. I really, really do appreciate your time, and please always remember, if you are having trouble with your emotions, if you are having trouble with your mental health, please, to the best of your ability, seek out a mental health professional if you can, and if you can't, there are resources for you. I will leave as many of them down below as I can. I love you guys. Stay cool, stay cute, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah. Toodles.